with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Portal. These are the Night Terrors, and this is our Sunday night show. Obviously, it's gone fast. This week of broadcasting has gone fast, but it's been incredibly busy. But I think we're turning out some really great episodes, had some really great guests. It's just a lot of fun, and it's mostly fun because you guys are here with me, of course. This wouldn't be nearly as much fun if I was sitting here doing it by myself. That'd kind of be tragic, wouldn't it? But I don't have to because you're here. And thank you all for being here with me. As always, it's my sincere pleasure to bring you these shows and do the best I can to keep you entertained. I'm just always, and I say this all the time, but it doesn't mean it's any less sincere. I'm always blown away that you guys continually come back and tell new people about the show, and more people are coming in all the time to experience the Paranormal Portal, and that really is a true honor, and I'm just thankful for that. So thank you to all of you who have been our family and part of the show for a long time. Those of you in the chat, those of you out there just sitting there listening, I really appreciate it, and I hope you continue to enjoy the show for years to come. I hope I continue to enjoy the show for years to come. But I don't think that'll be a problem because I do love doing the show. But anyway, these are the Night Terrors. If you're new to the show, these are our shorter format shows. They're not as long as the 2-hour shows. Obviously, they're about 1 hour, and we cover lots of different topics on these shows. But tonight we're going to be going into strange phenomena, and that can be a lot of different things. So there might be it's kind of like a buffet of paranormal, if you will. There might be some ghost stories. There might be some UFO stories. There might be some cryptid stories. And so it's kind of just strange phenomena all lumped together. And we'll be getting into that. And then we got, of course, the Trail Cam Terrors to close the show at the end. So those are, the Trail Cam Terrors are just basically paranormal phenomena, possibly paranormal phenomena. We can't always be sure. And sometimes it's a little questionable, but it's things that people have captured on camera, and they believe that it might very well be paranormal. So we're going to be going through some of that tonight as well, or actually one clip. But I think it's a good clip. It's one that's kind of done the rounds for a while, but I think it really cracks me up. I only because I wasn't there and didn't experience what they experienced. But anyway, we'll get into that later on at the end of the show. So, hey, Brent, you're so right. OPS Paranormal Portal Squad. All right, J-Rock, I appreciate it. I posted my spooky peephole apartment photo on Paranormal Portal fans page today. Okay. Well, let me just, do you mind if we share that, Rachel? If I find it, do you mind if we pull it up and have a look at it? Let me know in the chat if you're game for that. I don't want to put you out there, but ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already become a member of the Paranormal Portal fans page on Facebook, please do. It's a great group of people, lots of wonderful conversations and articles being posted, and people's experiences being posted. So if you aren't already a member, definitely look for it on Facebook and become one. That'd be great. We'd love to see you over there. I go over there pretty regularly Not as often as I'd like, but then again, I don't do anything as often as I'd like just because I'm going a lot of different directions. But anyway, I'll wait till see if Rachel responds. If that's okay, Rachel, we'd love to take a look at it. But maybe I'll look at it right now just to see if. Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's that's really creepy. I hope you agree that that's okay for us to show, because that really is pretty creepy. Yeesh. All right, let me open it up in its own tab here if we can, and I'll wait to see what Rachel has to say. Let me get back to the chat and have a look. Did she respond? She said yes. Okay. Oh yeah. Yes, you may show it. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Mom. All right, so here's the thing. First of all, before we get there, let me just say that if you want to call in and be a part of tonight's show, you sure can. I'd love to hear from you. And the number for the show is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 is where you call in. But if you forget that number and it's later on in the show, you're like, oh, what's that number? Look above my head. There it is, right there. I'm pointing at it. I'm doing my Vanna White. And let me do it like this. There. How was that? Was that elegant? I was doing my best. All right, so we'll look at that image in just a minute, but I hope you all are ready because it's time for bed. Boom. No, Stoner Hobbit. It's not a Skype number. It's just a call board that I have for the show specifically. And it does, it links through Skype. But at any rate, it is just like calling another phone in the U.S. here. So no strange charges or anything. Not calling from New Zealand to that. Well, I understand. No, it's not. Unfortunately, I don't have any international calls. If there's something you really want to share on one of our Night Terror shows, that's fine. Email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and we can make arrangements ahead of time, and I can pull you into a Skype session as I launch the show, or connect with you after a show, or during a show rather, and you can share your experiences if that's what you'd like to do. I do my best to accommodate people from all over the world because we have listeners from all over the world. So just let me know if that's what you want to do. Email me, and we'll make that happen. So at any rate, okay, here is leading off tonight's show. Oh, did I just close it? Yeah, I did. That was brilliant. Good Lord. I misclicked my own freaking tab. Ay. Here we go. Just take me a second here, folks. I'm pretty quick on the trigger. All right, so here's the image that Rachel shared to the Paranormal Portal fans page. It's really creepy. Oh my God, that is horrendous. Here it is, folks, for your viewing pleasure. I'm going to give it a full screen here. It says, this is a photo taken through my apartment peephole. It's closed glass door. I took 2 photos immediately after this, and these images were not there. It is from a previous Android phone. That's really crazy. Here, look at this face. This face peeking in there. That really looks like either a little alien or a black-eyed kid. I mean, literally, that is freaky. Show Don this. Oof. I got to show Don this. He'll freak. That is absolutely shocking. Yeah, this one up here as well. So it's like a smaller one and a taller one. Yeah, I mean, when you hear the stories of black-eyed kids, this is what it sounds like. and they're looking right at the peephole too. It's like the eyes are looking right at the peephole. Eesh, that's creepy. That's all kinds of creepy. I hope you didn't open the door. That's terrifying. Really, it is. I would never like to look out my door and see that. That just looks, and I don't pretend to know what it is that's out there, but whatever it is that's out there, it looks like it's looking directly into the peephole or at the peephole from outside another door. I don't know if this is another door frame, if there's a peephole and then another door that has to be opened, but that's creepy. That is so creepy. I don't know what's going on here, Rachel, but that is scary stuff for sure. Ugh. Thank you so much for sending that in. I'm really impressed. I'd love to see the next pictures that you took as well, just so we had the comparison before and after, or during and then after when nothing was there, if you took photos in succession. But yeah, that's really disturbing. Oof. How long ago was this, if you don't mind answering that at some point, or just call in and talk to me about it, because I'd like to ask you some questions about that image. No doors unless the metaphysical doors open. Yeah, good. All right. What I'm curious about is how long ago was this? What time of day? It looks like it's dark. I assume maybe it's a nighttime photo, but anyway, looks like another face above the top one. Yeah, it kind of can. You're kind of right. This up here kind of could look like another face, like they're just stacked there. Like, I don't know what this one is. This looks like it could be an eye and a nose and looking this way, but this one's peering right in the window. Or it could be just like an alien head, like one of those cone head things. Not from Saturday Night Live, but some kind of variation. This one, it does look like it could be. It might just be pareidolia because of the weird pixelation pattern here. But I mean, this is very clearly a face here. This very well could be, and this might be as well. Just standing back a little further, but yeah, that's so scary stuff. 2017, very late after midnight. Yeah, you wouldn't expect kids to be coming around like something short like this, like a child. So that rules out children for sure. Ugh. That's really disturbing stuff. Wowza. Yeah, be careful. I guess if it was, did you have any other activity around that time, or was this just kind of a standalone thing? Was there anything else going on in that period that, made you think, hey, something weird's going on around my area? Just, I'd love to hear if there's any more to it. It is so creepy. You're right, Maggie. That's really, really creepy. This is what I love about the show, though, and this is what I love about our community, is that you guys are part of it. And I just got a call from Lucky, who's sending me a video that was sent to her by someone she knows that may very well have orbs, and I'm going to review that and probably show it maybe next Thursday on that Night Terrors, or on Wednesday night, depending on what Don and I got cooked up. But yeah, that's really wild. Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's anything else in that time period that was going on, Rachel, around 2017 where you were living. If you can let me know, that'd be cool. Very, very weird. Oof. I still got it up on my other monitor. I'm looking at it like, eesh, I feel like it's watching me. It's one of those faces that it really looks like it's looking at you. The person looking at the picture, it looks like it's looking through time right into my soul. That's really disturbing. Ay. All right. Well, just be careful. Rachel gets it right. No, nothing else strange that I remember. It's a hall door. My apartment faces the hall to a stairway leading to the front door. Yikes. Well, I'm glad that was it. This may just be, let me put it back up again as I'm looking at it again. This could be a head, and this could be a shoulder, like a back standing profile, like a head here, shoulder down to the arm. I mean, it could be. I don't know. Very strange. And then this, of course, this very, very present little face. Eesh. And I'm assuming little, but maybe not so little. I don't know. Just really weird stuff. But thank you so much for sending that in. That is really shocking. I'm going to give that a big O face. Like, Wow. And I'll type. Oh, man. Oh, man. That's freaky. Right here live on the show. Okay. There it is. That's our community, folks. That's us working together to bring you the best entertainment we know how. All right, so I've got some stuff to get into here tonight with you guys. This is an article from Factinate, and it's factinate.com. Experience/unsettling experiences. And I don't know whose credit this is. And for some reason, it starts on number 4, and I don't know why, but it does. So that's what we're going to start it on. Let's get to the article here. This is from factinate.com. And again, I don't know who to give credit to for this article because it starts on number 4 and there's nothing. Oh, Stephen Y. Maybe it's from Stephen Y. Yep, he's a writer at Factinate. I don't know when it was published. I don't know anything more about it. But anyway, let's start with number 4 here, as is listed. A helping hand. It says, I work as a summer camp counselor every summer at a sleepaway camp, and although I'm a counselor now, I grew up going to this camp as a camper. This story takes place when I was 12, and this camp is basically the boonies of Missouri, next to a gorgeous river that's surrounded by forest. One of the activities at this camp is exploring this cave that's a short drive away from the camp. A longtime employee of this camp who has worked there for over 60 years always takes the kids out to the cave and teaches them about different cave formations, salamanders, etc., and we call him B. At the end of the caving trip, it is tradition that B takes everyone to the very back room of the cave and tells a scary story. Pretty much all his stories are creepy. He's one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. Anyway, he leads me down and the rest of my cabin to the story room. We're all getting settled down, excited to hear which story he's going to tell us. Just as he starts to tell the story, one of the girls, who was much younger than the rest of us, gets scared and wants to be taken out of the cave. B asks one of the counselors to take her to the front of the cave and wait for us to finish with the story. All of our flashlights are out and the cave is pitch black to set the ambience for the story, of course. Someone says, I'll take her. And the two get up and leave. B tells the rest of his story and we all head out to the front of the cave. On the trek to the entrance of the cave, he counts everyone to make sure that nobody got lost. Since the two left before the story, we should have been 2 people short. However, we were only missing 1 person. When we got to the front of the cave, the camper was just sitting on a large rock, playing with some mud from the cave. Completely alone. We all asked her who brought her out of here and where they went, and her response is one I will never forget. This old woman walked me out. She sat with me and talked for a bit, and then she said she had to go. She just kind of walked off into the forest. Who was that in the cave with us? She certainly wasn't with us when we went in. That's really creepy. Jeez. Well, at least it was a nice spirit, I guess. Or a nice being, whatever supernatural being it was. But that's pretty fascinating. Wow. Non-playable character failed to load. I find these interesting because there's a theory that we're in a simulation. I'm sure all of you are aware of this. But the other part of the theory is that there's only a certain percentage of people that are living on this planet right now that are actually organic consciousness. And the theory goes that the rest of the people are more like non-player characters, like if you ever played World of Warcraft or EverQuest or whatever, and you have to go talk to some of the computer-rendered players or characters, and they give you quests or whatever, and you know they're just part of the program. Well, the idea is that, they may help, they may hinder, they might just be filler, but these people aren't actually conscious in an organic way. So it's an interesting thought. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's not. I don't know. I've met people that I swear weren't very conscious, but it's take it or leave it. It's just a theory, but there might be something to it. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to the story. It talks about non-playable character failed to load. I met a girl at university, and after we graduated, we decided we'd move in with each other. The plan was whoever got a job first would pay the rent, etc., while the other looked for a job in the same city. Well, I got the job, and we moved into a small house together. Months later, she's still having no luck finding a job. I feel like garbage one day, which is unusual for me, and come home from work extremely early before lunch. Well, I walk in through the front door, and I'm greeted by a bizarre sight. I look into the lounge, and I see her just sitting there. The TV isn't on, nor is the radio, and she's just staring straight ahead, not even moving. I stood there and watched her for a while out of curiosity, and I'm sure everyone wonders what their partners or friends do when they think no one's around. Well, she did nothing, just stared dead ahead. The closest I can describe it is like in older computer games when you get into a room and an NPC hadn't noticed you yet and would just stood there, waiting for you to get in and activate them. We'd had a fight the night before, so I just shook my head and went off to bed. At around 4, I get up and go downstairs again, and she's still there, staring dead ahead. At which point, I obviously worry and try to get her attention. Nothing I did, even shaking her or shouting, would wake her from whatever it was, so I called my dad. He's a dentist but knows a lot about medicine generally, and asked him what I should do, and he says he'll be around in 20 minutes, and to keep an eye on her till then. Around 4:30, she suddenly gets up, goes into the kitchen and starts doing chores, washing up, getting tea, etc. Well, I follow her and watch before asking her if she's okay, and she says she's fine, pretty casually. Like nothing had happened. I asked her what she'd been up to that day, and she launched into this long explanation of how she'd gone out job hunting, where she'd gone, and managers she'd spoken to that day. It was creepy. I told her what had actually happened, and she looked at me oddly like I was the crazy one. Insisted that she'd been out job hunting and had only just got back. I told her I wasn't judging her, and it was fine that she hadn't been out job hunting, but I was worried about her, and she had definitely been sitting there all day. My dad came by and suggested she may have been having an absence seizure, which is a type of epilepsy. Well, she had scans, etc., and nothing showed up, no tumors either. Since she didn't believe my story, things got pretty tense between us, especially because after possibly having an absence seizure, she'd been banned from driving for a year. After the next 6-ish months before we broke up, I did some pretty odd things to try and prove what had happened, including booking days off of work without telling her and then pretending to go to work only to park around the corner and come home sneakily and then observe her. A lot of the time I'd find her stood there doing nothing again. When I asked her about it, she'd still have these long explanations of what she'd done that day. It happened so often that I kind of got the feeling my girlfriend was only really on when people were around. And when she thought no one was around, she'd just go into a default off state until people got back. It doesn't make much sense, but it's all I could come up with. Weirdly, some of her stories were backed up by other people, like she said she'd gone to meet a friend that day, and later when I checked with her friend, she said that it was true. This wasn't the only part I can't really explain to myself, and I've kind of just dismissed it as the friend being nice and trying to back up her friend. We broke up, though we're still friends, and I haven't mentioned it to her since. It still freaks me out, though, and I worry about what other people are like when they think no one is around. That's my signal failure. That's pretty creepy. Maybe there is something to that. I don't know. Or maybe she's an android from an alien race, and she's sent to infiltrate us and await orders. I don't know. I mean, I'm not making fun of it. It is very, very possible, I guess. When you hear about Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about this being a simulation, and these are not stupid people. These are not people that are prone to flights of fancy, but it is kind of interesting. Now, the one takeaway from it is that, of course, several people are are very motivated to break out of the simulation, kind of like, the Matrix thing. But Elon Musk, I think, raised a really good point. He's like, usually people simulate things because whatever their real experience isn't that good. So what if you do break out of this simulation and you end up in, like really the Matrix situation where everybody's eating this protein, sludge, because there's no real food. And I don't know. It's kind of a fascinating thought. But I guess I don't know. I don't know what to think about stuff like that. But it's really very interesting. All right, but that was by signal failure. All right, here's another one, seeing double. Number 6. My dad used to get up at around 3 a.m. every morning for work. Starting at a very early age, I would wake up on my own and wander downstairs to see him before he left. One morning when I was about 4 years old, I made it to the bottom of the stairs and noticed that the front door was ajar. I opened it up and saw my father in his favorite work shirt making his way down the driveway to his truck in his typical work outfit. A plaid shirt and Dickies. I think we've read this one before, but it's a repeat, so we'll just continue reading it. I swung the door open wide and yelled for him to come back for a hug before he left. I'll never forget what happened next. He slowly turned around and just stared at me and started walking back towards the house. He was looking so strangely at me that it started to scare me, and I began crying and asking what was wrong. Just as he had almost reached me, a pair of arms encircled me from behind in a bear hug. I turned my head to see my understandably freaked out father staring at his doppelganger in the same outfit. And that's not even the creepiest part. The double took one look at my dad and ran down the driveway. Meanwhile, my dad yanked me in the house and locked the door. Weirdest morning ever. Never did quite figure that one out. I would not trust my 4-year-old memory of the event if it wasn't also witnessed by my father. He won't really talk about it these days, but my mom has since told me that he called out of work, and she spent the day reassuring him that he wasn't a nutcase. Yeah, that's horrible. And you got to wonder what was going on there. What was really the motivation for that? Was it for the child? Was something going to come take the child? And that was how they were going to do it, just to look like the dad? Eesh, was it an abduction? I'm sure if these extraterrestrials want to abduct you, they could appear to look just like your family members or whatever and make you come to them. It's really, really, really creepy. Aye. Or was it some kind of mysticism or something? Now, that's something we don't talk about a lot on the show, but there are these, I don't know if I want to call them a cult, because a cult just means hidden. But there are some dark practices, and where people can mesmerize other people very quickly. And by mesmerize, I'm not saying it's necessarily magic per se, but it's a kind of maybe a quick hypnosis of some kind to make people perceive something rather than what's really there. And of course, obviously, there's lots of abductions and terrible things like that. So you got to wonder to what end and how do they get all those people for all those real dark things? Well, maybe, and I don't know. But come to your own conclusions. Anyway, that was by desk_jockey26. That's a fascinating story. And again, we've covered it before on the show. It's really bizarre. Could just be a spiritual doppelganger. Could be just something screwing with the family. But it could be darker. It could be much darker. But we don't usually talk about that kind of stuff on the show. Not because I don't believe it exists, but because I don't want to give that too much energy on this platform. So, all right. Number 7, defense mechanism. I'd been dating this guy for a few months when I had this dream about him. In the dream, I was sitting in a completely dark room under a spotlight, and he was sitting in a chair facing me. And we were having a conversation, and it was one of those things where, a conversation is happening, but there's no actual content. Well, I briefly looked away from him, and all of a sudden, I felt this pang of fear. I looked up, and he was smiling at me, but not a normal smile. His chin tilted down, and he was staring at me through the top of his eyes. It was nothing short of demonic. He didn't say anything, just stared. I knew something was wrong, and I was terrified. I then became conscious I was dreaming, which was the only time that has ever happened to me, and I said over and over again, "You can't hurt me, this is a dream. You can't hurt me, this is a dream." Then suddenly, he disappeared into a pile of sand on the floor, and I jolted awake, completely beside myself. Well, that relationship turned out to be utterly toxic, and after I ended it, he stalked me for a while, and I had to go to get a no-contact order. I think back on the dream frequently, and I'm pretty sure my subconsciousness was picking up warning signs even then. It was pretty symbolic of how the relationship turned out, which creeps me out. Yeah, that's horrid. I've had really diabolical dreams, mostly when I was much younger, when I was, in my late teens, early 20s. I had this whole cycle of really, really dark things happening. And it was a pretty heavy and dark time for me personally. And I kind of think it was an attack of some kind. I really do. But, obviously I made it, but it was a pretty horrible series of experiences. It was no fun at all. But that was by Banana Wan, W-H-A-N. Here's number 8, Halloween story. When I was 14, I went to a Halloween bonfire at my buddy's place in a rural area. He had a large backyard that was surrounded by some woods. I took a break from the bonfire and headed to a nearby bush to take a leak. Got a leak. You got to take care of those leaks. When I was going to the bathroom, I saw something out of the corner of my eye in the woods, which was about 50 yards away. I looked directly at it and saw nothing. I went back to my business, and then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the large shadowy figure once again. I looked over there and saw nothing. At this point, I remember in science class that your peripheral vision is better in locations with very little light. So I looked towards the area where the figure was without looking directly at it. And that moment, I witnessed a chilling sight. It appeared as if someone was pacing the edge of the woods, looking over towards the bonfire. Well, I rushed back to the group and I tell them. The kid who lived there ran into his house and told his dad. The dad comes out with a pistol and heads to the edge of the woods. He comes back and reports nothing. Well, it's possible my eyes could have been playing a trick on me, but I'm almost 100% sure I saw a person staring at us kids, or stalking us kids. The nearest neighbor was a mile down the road. It's just creepy that someone in the middle of nowhere would be watching a bunch of kids. Yeah, that is creepy. That was by Mapes. Number 9 is the new house. When I was 3, my family had just moved into a new house, and I mean brand spanking new. We were the first people on our street to move in, and they didn't finish building all of the houses until a few weeks after we moved in. But anyway, here's my story. One night when I was about 4 and a half, for some reason, I woke up in the middle of the night. This was around the age where I was sure if I thought long and hard enough that I could get X-ray vision like Superman. And whenever I'd wake up in the middle of the night, that's what I'd try to do. I'd sit there in bed for like 10 to 15 minutes, trying really hard to see through the walls, or my dresser, or even just the back of my hand before eventually just giving up and going back to sleep. That's cute. This particular night wasn't any different from any other. I woke up, saw the Toronto Blue Jays clock on my wall, saw it was around 1 a.m., and went to work, trying to see through the back of my hand. About 5 minutes into my routine, I never did get X-ray vision, in case you're wondering, I heard what sounded like a whisper. I thought maybe it was my sister, who was just a year older, and in the next room, so I kept on trying my best just to see through something until I heard a man call my name. And I just about peed myself. I sat there frozen in fear. I didn't know who it was. My father at the time worked the night shift and didn't get home until 4 a.m. most days. I don't know how to rightly express just how terrified I was at what happened next, or to really express what was running through my mind, but the voice laughed at me and said it was going to get me, and then silence for the next 5 seconds until I screamed out loud. Well, I woke everyone in the house up. My mother ran into my room and asked me what was wrong, but I was crying a lot. She sat with me for what must have been close to a half an hour until I calmed down and was able to tell her what had happened. I asked if it was Dad and why would he be playing such a mean joke on me. But she said he was still at work and that I must have been dreaming. The thing about that whole ordeal, about how terrified I was, is that I never again felt comfortable in that house. I never again slept with my door closed, and at least once a week for many years, I would wake up and just yell for my mom because something didn't feel right. It turned me from a self-assured child into a child that was afraid of everything. To this day, I'm not sure if it was my father or not. My mother said it wasn't, but the house was brand new. The land was built on used to be farmland, and there was nothing else on the land but massive field of crops. My parents still live in that house, and nothing like that voice ever happened again. But the room that was mine still creeps me out if I'm over there at night. I don't know what it was. That was from Colorado. Here's the thing. I think houses aren't necessarily haunted because something spiritual happens. I do think that there's some things that just wander through and they like to just raise hell on their way through. I think that some spirits are transient. They just wander around and see what they can mess with, and they don't seem to be locked to any one place. But there's lots of these stories like this where they're just one-off. Something happens and then nothing ever again. And you got to wonder, it's like, what is the situation there? Are those the same thing as the spirits of people that had passed on? Because spirits of people that passed on, if they haven't really passed through to the next life, they seem to be anchored in a place for whatever reason. Maybe it's the home. Maybe it's the people living in the home. Maybe it's the feeling that they had a lot more to do and just aren't ready to move on. But they don't seem to be able to wander as much. But the ones that pass on can come and go as they will. But I can't imagine anybody that's transitioned to the next life and to the forever, that they would get a kick out of coming back and teasing some kid. So I think it's some kind of transient earth spirit of some kind that just is messing with this kid that one time. It's very creepy though, whatever it is. It sure messes people up. Just one event like that can just mess someone up for the rest of their life. Number 10 is zombies galore. About a year ago, I was lying in bed after having just finished reading an excellent zombie novel. It was the middle of winter and slightly after midnight. I couldn't sleep as my mind was still crawling with zombies, so I lay awake staring at the ceiling with my dog snoring away next to me. Suddenly I heard 3 loud thumps from the glass of the window across the room. Very hard and very steady, like someone pounding on the glass with the fist of their hand. The sound scared the daylight out of me and woke the dog, who started barking. Well, I sat there trying to assure him and myself that it was okay and there was some sensible reason for it. Okay. After a few minutes, we both calmed down. He went back to sleep and I followed about half an hour later. I was woken up in the middle of the night by the same sound. Thump, thump, thump. The sound came from the same window with the same steady interval between thumps, and just as loud as before. The dog woke and started barking again, and both of us were freaking out, and I couldn't bring myself to turn on the light and go look out the window. The only thing I could do was run into the living room, curl up on the couch with the dog, a blanket over our heads, and the next morning I woke on the couch feeling exhausted, having slept only intermittently. The dog was sitting at the door to my room looking alert and looking back to me and whining, and I went back to my bedroom and looked out the window. There was nothing unusual looking, no marks on the glass or anything. My apartment is on the top floor of our 6-story building. The fire escape was on the window nearest to my bed, and not not the one near the window where the sound came from. Whatever had hit the window had a 6-story drop underneath it. At a loss for any other explanation, I figured it must have been a bird running into the window. I had no explanation for the fact that it seemed to do so 3 times in a row at very steady intervals. On 2 separate occasions, and with a sound much louder than could be made by a lightweight creature bouncing off the glass, the fact that it happened late at night, a time when birds aren't typically flying around, I also carefully ignored in my hope for some other sane explanation. Somewhat satisfied with my rationalization, I went to work and felt much better for the rest of the day. That is, until one last fact filtered into my mind. It dwelt there for the rest of the workday, nagging at me, and I rushed home to confirm my suspicions. Reaching the window again, just as the sun was setting, I felt a chill run down my spine. My troublesome suspicion was accurate. There was a screen on the outside of the window. The noise had very clearly been the sound of the glass being struck. Whatever had hit the window had to have done so from inside the room. That's by Reticulated Spline. That's horrible. So in a situation like that, it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was some form of tulpa or a thought form, a projection from the person reading, the person writing the story who had read that really intense novel. You know, it could have been a subconscious projection of, you know, what if the zombies came to my house and then boom, boom, boom. Oh man, you know. I think we are incredibly powerful manifestors, all of us. I think we manifest to an extraordinary degree. We just don't realize it's us doing it. And it's more than just, hey, I'm going to have a crappy Monday. And then you have a crappy Monday. It's more than that. It's like, I think we fundamentally shape our lives in a very profound way. And because everything is built on energy, all of reality at its most fundamental form is energetic. And so I think we, being energetic beings, have a very true ability to influence the energy of all things around us. We just don't know we do it. And we do it on a very subconscious level most often. But it wouldn't, for that story, I'm pretty sure that would have been perhaps a manifestation of that person. And I think that a lot of hauntings can be as well. Now, that doesn't make them any less scary. It doesn't make them any less real. But it does kind of help to explain what happens in like poltergeist-like situations. Now, in this situation, it was a one-off. It was boom, boom, boom 3 times, and then nothing. Then the realization it came from inside the house. Well, whatever. And that's not unimportant, but it obviously wasn't somebody standing outside the window pulling a prank. It obviously wasn't a zombie, because zombies don't float. It could, and outside the window was the screen, and there was nothing seen inside. And so it's I really think it's a thought form. There's a really interesting book written by Richard Bach, and I can't remember what it's exactly called, but I think it has to do with something like the generic Messiah or something like that. But I can tell you, I've read the book. When I was younger, I read it dozens of times. I just love this book. And in it, it's not a true story, but Richard Bach is a really profound author and writes about very spiritual things in a fictional way. And in this story, he meets this man named Donald Shimoda. And he's a Japanese guy, but he's a Messiah-like person. And I won't talk about it too much, but essentially, in that book is illustrated these scenarios about how profound we are in creating our experience. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. I really do. And I think that's, at the end, even the Bible says it's done unto you as you believe. So and there's little nuggets of that all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. From many religions, many backgrounds, many esoteric traditions and thought. And we are the keys. We are the keys. We are architects of our experience, I think. Doesn't mean I got it all figured out. Doesn't mean I'm good at architecting my experience, but it means that at least I understand, in my own opinion, some of the mechanics of what's going on in this world. So, but at any rate, I'm kind of spiderwebbing. Let's see what the time is. 48. We're getting there. I'll do one more and then we'll get to the Trail Cam Terrors. It's a real quick one, so it won't take much time. Maybe I'll do 2 more of these and then the Trail Cam Terrors. But anyway, number 11, open season. What's this? At Paranormal Portal. I dug out the old phone. I found the other photos. I see more creepy faces in some of them. There's 6 photos. I'll photograph the screen with my new phone. I hope it's pareidolia. I hope it is for you too. I really do. That's. But again, it hasn't happened since 2017, which is now 4 years ago. So chances are you're fine, but that's really creepy stuff. Really creepy image. Trail Cam Terror. You know it. Oh, gee. Sorry. Thank you. I'm here all night. I will be, just not broadcasting. All right, number 11, open season. We live in the country and occasionally get big packs of coyotes coming through. And I remember one summer you'd hear them running and yelping almost every night. One night my friends are out and we're sitting on the road and we start to hear the coyotes in the field across the road. Our dog is kind of paying attention, but he hears it so often he doesn't really do much more than bark once or twice and then stare. Then it all goes quiet. It didn't fade away like they were traveling away from us. They just stopped dead. No noise. Then one coyote trots out under the yard light, and it's just staring at my dog. My dog starts growling. The coyote walks away out of the light for maybe a minute or so, and then trots back into the light and yelps a bit and stares at my dog. Now my dog starts barking, and the coyote leaves the light again. I crawl into the house and go down and out the door. I crawl into the house and go down and out the door. By the time that I get out there, the coyote is right there, sitting under the light. It's staring at my dog, and my dog's going absolutely bonkers. I get a hold of her collar, and I'm trying to calm her down. Finally, I just drag her back to the house and shut the door firmly. I go back up and sit with my friends on the roof, and the coyotes start howling again. They were there, just off into the darkness, and had sent one to try to bait my dog into coming out away from the house. Coyotes can be incredibly smart. Yeah, that's true. They do prey on domestic pets quite often. Usually the little ones, but a pack of them would certainly pull down a full-grown dog as well. That's they're an extraordinarily intelligent animal. But that's not really paranormal, but it does show you how intelligent they are in their cooperation and their thinking. Number 12, don't chase your own tail. Who wrote that one, by the way? That was by Z.J. Peter. Okay. Number 12, don't chase your own tail. About 6 years ago, when I was 14 years old, I was walking through the small trails throughout my parents' property that we lived on at the time. This was a regular thing I used to do because I had just moved into the area and there was all sorts of old-fashioned farm equipment and old shacks in the woods on the property. My parents were pretty wealthy and they had purchased well over 100 acres of land. There were even a few streams that ran through there as well. It was sometime in that afternoon that I was walking on this narrow path and I noticed a golden retriever run out onto the path in front of me from out of the brush. I was curious, considering I didn't have a dog, and there were not any neighbors within around 5 miles of the property. Oh, I see there's a call. We'll get to the call after this story. It began to bark and stopped in its tracks, looking at me with a very agitated look. A few moments later, a man around 19 to 20 years old comes running out of the brush and stops in his tracks and looks really confused to see me and yells, "Hey, what are you doing here?" and starts to chase me. I instantly sprint as fast as I can back to my house. I didn't have any intent of looking back at him, but I heard him yelling, "Hey, wait!" And the voice sounded eerily familiar. Eventually, halfway through the thickly wooded thicket, I couldn't hear his voice anymore, and he didn't seem to be following me. However, that didn't stop me from getting back to my house as fast as possible. I told my parents this, and my stepfather actually went and retrieved the rifle from his safe and proceeded to look for this guy for an hour or so before basically finding no evidence of this happening. I actually got grounded for this because they thought I was lying. And my parents, being very strict, basically assumed it was just another tall tale from their rebellious child. Now that you made it through this part of the story, this is where it gets absolutely weird. Around 5 weeks ago, I visited my parents' house with my girlfriend and her golden retriever, Bentley. The first few hours of the visit went just fine. I talked with family, had some drinks, enjoyed being at home for a change instead of working my 9-to-5 shifts. It was nice. I stepped out to let the dog out and to smoke, and for no reason, Bentley decides to dash into the woods at full speed. As fast as I could, I ran after him into the thick woods and eventually actually lost track of him. It wasn't until about 5 minutes of walking in the woods that I heard him barking at something. I quickly ran to the sound and found him no more than 15 feet away from a kid playing in the woods. I looked at him confused and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" I started to walk towards him, and the kid booked it as fast as he could and ran through a thicket of brush and literally completely vanished. I've never experienced something like this. During the moment, I actually had no idea, but the kid was wearing the exact same clothes I used to wear as a 14-year-old. I've told my girlfriend about this, and even she thinks I'm insane. But it actually happened, and I can't explain it. Anyway, that's the story about that day. I chased my past self. That was by Cruix99. Wow, that's really intense. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's get to this call and find out what's going on in, looks like Michigan. Area code 517. You're on the horn. Hello?
Hey, Brent, it's Les.
Hey, Les, how you doing, man?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you good.
Not too bad. Just on with a little update.
Oh, please. What's going on for you?
Well, I did a cleansing ceremony in the house.
Okay.
And the wife, right? You haven't seen any shadows in the house? She hasn't seen the small shadows in the house like I told you about.
Right.
But
Good.
you're still here stopping? Yeah. She still hears a girl or a woman crying. It'll
Wow.
wake her up or...
Okay. So...
And she just actually went inside. She's not comfortable really talking to you guys yet.
No, that's okay, and that's fine. Now, let me ask you: is she kind of sensitive? Like not just emotionally, but I mean like psychically. Do you think she might have some ability?
I don't know. I'm going to try to set something up with Deb.
Yeah, I would do that. I was going to
her.
suggest that because it may be, of course, the obvious question is, did something tragic happen there? That, in whatever past, and there's still an unsettled spirit there, or is she picking up something, psychically from somewhere else? Now, do you ever hear the crying?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty intense.
When she hears it, she thinks it's our kids,
mm-hmm.
but when she goes to checks on them, they're both sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the only thing tragic that happened here was Grandpa had a heart attack. Yeah. Her Grandpa had a heart attack here in the house, but
okay.
He's cool. He likes to mess with me when I'm working in the garage.
Well, that's cool. But the thing is we you may know the story of a house, but what was that land before the house? Now, the hard part to determine is it something attached to the land? Is there some tragedy that happened on the land? And of course, it can go back hundreds of years, so it's hard to know. But it may just be something residual. Maybe perhaps after her grandfather passed away, that was a very sad thing, and the house kind of recorded that sorrow, and maybe she hears that being replayed. Yeah. So it could be residual. It's not necessarily intelligent. But if it like you said the grandfather messes with you in the garage, and that's intelligent. I mean, that's an intelligent haunt where there's a presence that likes to interact with you and makes itself known. But the crying thing could very well just be a residual imprint, like, oh, this happened, I'm so heartbroken and I'm sobbing, and of course, the belief is that our surroundings absorb those energies and can just replay them. And there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason to why or when, but something triggers that to replay. And then, you have those kind of situations. But I think talking to Deb would be an excellent start. But I'm glad the cleansing was able to help you out. That's of course pretty huge, because knocking down that energy can keep it easier to manage and easier to live with,
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you said you saw a shadow move by the neighbor's car?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, you remember the last time I called? I said I saw a shadow figure of a person on top of the garage?
Yes, I remember that.
Across the street, my neighbors?
Yep.
Well, before you unmuted the line, we were talking. I wasn't facing across the street. She actually saw a shadow move.
Oh, okay.
Around the car, across the neighbors, and disappear.
Yikes. Yeah. It sounds like it's something in your area, not necessarily your house, but in your area. And yeah. I think it's after you've smudged, one thing you can do, and this isn't me trying to tell you to believe or not to believe in something, but one thing that I've recommended people do is after you smudge and cleanse and knock the energy down, a good thing to do is to go around the foundation of the house with sea salt, just like table sea salt. And it doesn't have to be a big pile. Just sprinkle it around the foundation of the house, because salt has been used as a barrier or protection against spiritual energies for time immemorial. I mean, it's just one of those mediums that seems to really keep them out. And that's the big thing, is once you've got it cleared, you don't want it coming right back. So, and certainly olive oil on the thresholds of your doors and windows can be good. Just, as you're doing it, say a prayer or make a statement, that's darkness is not allowed in, or however you want to say it, and kind of symbolically seal your house from anything coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely, it's got to be pretty scary stuff. So I would recommend reaching out to Deb, and I know she'll be really accommodating and help you guys out for sure. Also, if you want, Sean is another person that's connected with the show, and he's offered his abilities. He's dealt with lots of dark things and has helped many callers to the show that have had some really troublesome things going on, with clearing things going on there, and also helping people understand what's going on. So both Deb and Sean can be great, and neither of them, I'm sure, would charge you a thing. They just would want to help.
Yeah. I mean, I got Deb's email address. I mean, I could message you on MeWe or shoot you an email and possibly get Sean's contact info.
Yeah, I think that would be great, because Sean could certainly reach out to that area and find out if something is, targeting people there and causing problems or not. Definitely reach out to me via email at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and I'll get you his contact information. And he does it pro bono, no charge. You can certainly donate or whatever you want, but he doesn't ask that people do that. He's just happy to help.
Yeah. And the other thing is, usually on weekends when I don't have to work, I stay up late. Last night, sorry, that was a truck going by.
Oh, that's all right.
Last night, I was just kind of outside smoking where I went to bed and had the pellet gun on my shoulder, looking for raccoons. Well, I was scanning the wood line with a flashlight, and when I got to just at the edge of my house, right behind, I saw maybe not even a quarter of a second. It was a misty figure, and it was probably about, I want to say about 12 or 13 foot tall.
Jeez.
It went from one tree, and it disappeared behind another.
Wow. Is it very wooded where you're at?
It wasn't... pretty much right behind my house is a thick wooded area that's probably 125 yards wide, and I want to say probably a mile and a half, 2 miles wide, and there's a creek that runs pretty much about through the middle of it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that could be a lot of different things. I mean, certainly the fact that it looked misty, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was just more hairy. And I'm not trying to get you, not trying to put things into your head here, but
I've thought about that.
Yeah.
And I did find, it's been about 2 years ago, it looked like the imprint of about a 12-inch barefoot, but I couldn't verify it because it was matted down grass and it didn't come out clear in the picture.
Sure. Huh.
But I know it was mist.
Okay. Well, just be careful. I'm sure you're probably okay, but just just be very careful and by all means, please keep us posted because I don't know. It's the dark stuff it's something you don't want to mess around with. Like if there is truly something dark hanging around, it's got to go somewhere else. And so I would love for you to take advantage of either Deb and Sean or both Deb and Sean, but to take care of this and make sure you guys are okay. Yeah.
I'll shoot you a message here when I get off the phone with you on MeWe.
Okay.
For Sean's info, and I'll email them both.
Okay. Sounds perfect.
See what they think. Maybe we can set up a call or something.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Les. I appreciate you calling me back, and I appreciate the update. And by all means, let me know if there's more help you need. We have a lot of resources, people that have reached out to offer their help for people that need it. So, let us know.
All right, Brent. I appreciate it.
Anytime, brother. You take care and be safe.
You too.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Yeah, that's scary stuff when you got stuff going around your house. You don't know what you're dealing with. That's the scary part. What are you dealing with? That's the hard part to quantify and to handle and to make sense of. And so that's just really weird. And I'm sure Sean or Deb or both of them will be able to help a lot. But I suspect the crying, I don't know, crying comes up sometimes in Bigfoot / Dogman kind of situations as well, as a lure to try to get people to go into the woods or something. And, at least it's believed to be a lure. I don't know what it is for sure, but it's believed to be. But anyway, all right, we've got the trail cam terrors to get through, and then that'll be about it for the show. So let's get to the trail cam terrors, folks. All right, everybody, welcome to the Trail Cam Terrors. I'm going to show you a video from a YouTube page called Six Axis PTY Ltd. And it's police patrolling graveyard cemetery at night. And this is very interesting because, well, you'll see what happens, and we'll discuss it on the other side. This is I'm kind of curious what you guys think. Obviously, I don't know anything about the origin of the video, but it does seem to come from a police cruiser dash cam, and I don't know if the sound is legitimate that appears on this video. I can't blame them for not liking it too much. But anyway, let's get to this. I'm making it full screen, and I'm going to play this sound. So mind your ears if you're listening with headphones on. I don't know how loud this is going to come through, but at any rate, let me get back to here and do this. Here we go. Oh my God, one more time. They're like, nope. Now, I'm not sure what happened, what made that screaming, if that is indeed the actual sound that was recorded from that police cruiser. Oh, no, I don't want this. I don't want nukes. I don't want that at all. I didn't click on that, but maybe it had a timer on it. But at any rate, you'll have to be the judge and decide if you think that that is indeed some kind of Bigfoot, and that's in the cemetery, maybe a dog man, maybe a restless spirit, maybe something else. But whatever it is, made a hell of a lot of racket, and obviously terrified them both. The interesting takeaway is that the guy was terrified long before the woman. I think she just ran because all of a sudden she didn't have her partner with her. She's like, okay, I'm out of here too. Because, you don't want to confront that stuff alone. That's absolutely terrifying. So that was the Trail Cam Terrors, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. And let's get back to the other screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I got for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, it was scary, huh, Ethan? That's a creepy sound. Yeah, death metal. It takes a brave person to put on that uniform. So, whether they got a little extra cushion or not, it's up to them. But they're still putting themselves in harm's way, and you gotta appreciate that these are the people we call to jump in the way of things that are trying to hurt us. So, I don't know. I don't blame them for noping out of there, but man, that's probably not in the job description though either. When you sign up to be a police officer, it's like, must confront haunted cemeteries. Nope, it wasn't on the resume. I don't know. If I had something scream like that powerfully. Now, I don't know how far it was away from the car, but that's why I kind of think, was it a Bigfoot or something? Because people talk about the force of those screams that the Bigfoot make. And it's even being far away. People talk about being like a quarter mile away, hearing the screaming, and they can still feel it a quarter of a mile away. Like it's not just a sound, it's like an experience that their body feels. And that's a lot of power. That's absolutely terrifying. So at any rate, folks, that's the Paranormal Portal Night Terrors for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys had a great time. I had a great time doing it with you guys. Again, if you like the show, please let other people know about it. Help me out. Help out the portal. Help us to grow. Because we do want to grow. Now, coming up this Friday, Don and I are taking off going over to Medellin Falls. So we won't have a normally scheduled Friday, Saturday show, but we will be streaming as much as we can. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel. And again, speaking of Medellin Falls, that's a Bigfoot festival going on over in Washington State. There's going to be a lot of great speakers. One of the newest speakers announced is Mr. Sage Accord of Expedition Bigfoot. He's going to be there, and he's going to be speaking. Bob Gimlin's going to be speaking. Ken Gerhard, who's going to be a guest on our podcast at some point in the near future, he's going to be speaking at this event as well. He's a TV personality and a cryptozoologist and has written several books, of which I have 2 of them right here. One of the books he's written is The Essential Guide to Bigfoot by Ken Gerhard, and the other one is his newest book, The Essential Guide to the Loch Ness Monster and Other Aquatic Cryptids. So if you're into the cryptids, you definitely want to check Amazon.com or wherever and find Ken's books and check them out. I'm reading through the Bigfoot one now, and it's really well done. It's a lot of very factual information, very well written. He does these books through a lens of a scientist, and I like that. Also going to be speaking at this event is Igor Burtsev. out of Russia, who's a pretty incredible guy as well. We've got, who else? God, let me get to the Medellin Falls page here and tell you. But remember, Bob Gimlin is the big one for me personally, and Sage as well. I met Sage; he's a really nice guy. But here's the thing. Where is it? I got to get to the discussion here. Who else is speaking? Adam Davies is MC. Presenters are Ken Gerhard, Larry Beans Baxter, who just wrote a book on the Bigfoot phenomena up in Alaska, where he lives, Kevin Llewellyn, Dr. Robert Alley, who is a really fascinating guy. He could talk all day and all night about this stuff and still have weeks of information to tell you. J.C. Williams, Igor Burtsev from Russia, Russell Accord, Shane Corson, Tom Seawood, and he was a guest on Sasquatch Chronicles several times, a really fascinating First Nations speaker from the Vancouver Island area and up in BC. And special guest Bob Gimlin is also confirmed. So there you go, folks. It's going to be an incredible event. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is this. It's now going to be live streamed. And I can tell you to go to the Facebook page, but let me pull this over and put it on screen, because this is an event. If you can watch it, you should watch it, because Bob's probably not going to be doing much more speaking after this, and this is a chance to talk to one of the godfathers of the Bigfoot movement, one of the people that was there right at the cusp of it becoming mainstream. And so here it is, the first annual Medellin Falls Bigfoot Festival 2021 live streaming. So if you're interested, you can get your tickets at mfbigfoot.com/live. And let me get this URL, and I'll put it in the chat for you guys if you choose to do so. Again, this is going to be one of those events that I don't think, if you're serious about Bigfoot and cryptids, you won't want to miss it. It's amazing the amount of talent they're bringing together for this one event in this community. And Medellin Falls is a real hotspot for Bigfoot activity as well. A lot of research goes on around that area. So thank you, Maggie. I appreciate that. Great show, she says. Thank you. And I hope you guys will take advantage of that. It's an excellent opportunity to be there without having to be there. If you can't make the journey, at least you can experience the speakers. That'll be going on the 19th and 20th, if I'm remembering the dates right. And anyway, it'll be next weekend, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. And so if you can be a part of the event just by streaming, that's great. If you're going to the event but you didn't get tickets, you can stream the event to a phone or to your iPad or whatever device and experience the speakers as well as all of the community events that are going on. But if you can make it, of course, that'd be really cool. Don and I will be there. So what's not to want to be there? I don't even know if that makes sense. That's all I got, man. So there you go, folks. That's coming up this next weekend. Don and I will be there. So I just want to let you know, Friday, Saturday, for sure, there won't be normal streams, but there will be live streams coming out of that event. So keep an eye out for that. Watch our YouTube channel. It's probably just going to be very impromptu. Great show. Thank you, Sugar Britches. I appreciate that. All right, guys. That's what I got for you. So I hope you guys take advantage of it. And I'm going to take 2 days and try to get my act together. Good luck with that, right? Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Good night. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Oh, and sweet dreams.